Commerce Alive today presents
Frank's Nursery and Crafts. Frank's history may be traced to 1942, when Frank Scher and his nephew Max Weinberg opened a food market, known as Frank's Market, on the northeast side of Detroit. Billing itself as never closed and never undersold, the business thrived. Frank's Market began carrying seasonal plants, including Christmas trees, Easter plants, and flats of springtime annuals, in addition to their staples of fresh produce and other grocery items. In 1949, Scher and Weinberg opened a greenhouse on a vacant lot across the street from the market to accommodate the growing number of annuals and perennials the market offered. According to Frank's lore, the inspiration for this focus on plants was a difficult customer who complained about the price of coffee beans but who then obligingly paid 79 cents for a potted geranium. The price and the profit on the geranium were much higher than those on the coffee, and Scher and Weinberg realized that there was apparently money to be made selling flowers. Soon Frank's was selling fertilizer, trees, and other landscaping supplies. The business thrived, and in 1957 the company by then 4 stores strong incorporated, becoming Frank's Nursery Sales Incorporated. By 1965 Frank's owned 18 stores throughout Michigan, and its sales were $11.35 million, with a net income of $509,000. Since the lawn and garden business was highly cyclical in nature, with highest revenues during the growing season, the company sought to offset the regular drop in revenues during the winter months. Toward that end, Frank's diversified and began to sell craft and hobby supplies, a line that Frank's management believed would complement its gardening merchandise, since both appealed to customers interested in do-it-yourself projects. The first Frank's Trims, a store which sold only craft goods, was opened in 1966. That year, Frank's Nursery Sales went public, gaining a listing on the American and Detroit stock exchanges. Frank's used the funds to expand and build new stores, particularly in the neighboring states of Indiana and Ohio. In 1973 Frank's opened its first 4 Illinois stores in suburban Chicago. The following year, Frank's moved into Minnesota when it purchased 5 garden centers in suburban Minneapolis from the Green Giant Company. By the time of the company's 25th anniversary in 1974, 51 Frank's stores were in operation in 5 states, employing some 1,200 workers in high season. The company's sales had reached $37.2 million with a net profit of $1.13 million. Also, during this time, Frank Scher was succeeded by his son, William Scher, who had previously served the company as executive vice president and treasurer. Max Weinberg continued to serve as company president. In 1980 the company's name was changed from Frank's Nursery Sales Incorporated to Frank's Nursery and Crafts Incorporated, to emphasize the dual nature of the retail chain. Sales in 1980 reached $119.3 million on revenues rung up at 80 stores. Frank's continued to grow. In the 1980s Frank's stores were opened in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Florida, Virginia, Missouri, New Jersey, Kentucky, and New York. During this time, much of Frank's expansion came by acquiring small regional chains such as Gaudio's in Philadelphia and Scott's Seaboard in Baltimore. In 1983 Frank's Nursery and Crafts was purchased by General Host Corporation. General Host bought 96% of Frank's shares in a $19 a share tender offer in March 1983. The value of the sale was thus approximately $42.4 million. Frank's at that time spanned 95 stores. General Host was a large conglomerate comprised of an array of holdings. Since the 1970s, the company had actively acquired and divested companies as it continuously redefined itself. At the time it purchased Frank's, General Host's interests included meatpacking, food service, and convenience stores. Frank's was the first lawn and garden company in its holdings. Upon its purchase of Frank's, however, General Host Chairman and Chief Executive Harris J. Ashton began to see the potential profit in a national chain of garden supply/craft supply stores. Ashton's model was the Toys R Us retail chain, which through large volume purchases, low overhead, and low retail prices became one of the biggest success stories of the 1980s. Ashton felt that baby boomers would take an interest in gardening as they got older. He started to sell off his assets including Hickory Farms of Ohio Incorporated, All-American Gourmet Company Frozen Foods, and Hot Sam Pretzel Fund, other acquisitions focusing on lawn and garden, craft, and Christmas merchandising. At the time, Frank's stores were expensive to build, with each store costing over $1 million. A typical Frank store was located on a 3-acre site near a highly visible retail strip or shopping center. It covered 35,000 square feet, including an outside sales area. Ashton incorporated the wide aisles, shopping carts, and vast selection that had been components of Toys R Us's success. Frank's also began to enclose their outdoor garden supply areas so that they could be used throughout the year. In 1984, General Host sold off the profitable Van de Kamp's frozen foods unit and Little General convenience stores, while bolstering its gardening centers through the acquisition of the East Coast-based merchandiser Flowertime Incorporated. Flowertime was eventually merged into Frank's in 1989, and Frank's had become General Host's core business by the early 1990s. In 1991, the first of Frank's standalone Christmas stores, Christmas by Frank's, opened. These stores were temporary installations placed in high-volume regional malls, allowing shoppers to purchase holiday decorations and gift wrap while they shopped for gifts. Indeed, Christmas decorations and crafts became increasingly important lines to Frank's, helping to compensate for the seasonal sales declines in gardening supplies. In 1993, the company launched Frank's Super Crafts, opening 2 stores in the Detroit area. Designed as superstores, the Super Crafts stores encompass 20,000 square feet of retail space, allowing for a wider selection of craft supplies and home and holiday decorations, while incorporating in-store framing shops and floral arrangement services. Moreover, the stores featured hundreds of craft project displays, giving customers creative ideas and allowing them to see firsthand completed projects. In 1993, the company planned to open 3 more Frank's Super Crafts stores. During this time, Ashton took note of a major rival in the lawn and garden center business, the Sunbelt Nursery Group. In April 1993, General Host purchased Pier 1 Imports' 49.5% interest in Sunbelt, which consisted of over 100 lawn and garden centers under various names, including Wolf Nursery in Texas and Oklahoma, Tip Top Nursery in Arizona, and Nurseryland in California. Ashton stated that he wanted to open 25 more stores that year, perhaps in some areas where Sunbelt had outlets, hinting at a possible future merger. Sales in 1992 grew to $558 million, a 7% increase over the previous year, yet higher costs and interest on General Host's debt caused its profits to decline, from $8.7 million in 1991 to $2.9 million in 1992. By 1994, in fact, General Host's headlong expansion had come to an end, as the series of new stores proved unprofitable. In January, Frank's announced the closure of 26 stores, most of which were in the Nashville, Tennessee, area and in Florida. By September 1994, General Host had sold its interests in Sunbelt to another lawn and garden chain. Company officials announced that such sales and closings would save General Host $3.8 million annually. Other cuts were to come in $25 million worth of inventory, all of which would help service General Host's $238 million in debt. During this time, however, Frank's Christmas stores and Super Craft centers were thriving, exceeding sales expectations. Moreover, General Host implemented a line of proprietary lawn and garden products at its Frank's Nursery stores, which the company hoped would compete effectively with national brands. In a letter to shareholders, Ashton remained optimistic about the future of Frank's stores, expressing his conviction that Frank's will retain its position as the best and largest lawn and garden chain in the United States and that this position is unassailable. In February 2001, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy because it could not afford to pay its vendors. Matters were taken to bankruptcy court, where questions arose as to whether or not Frank's could avoid shutting down its retail stores. The matter was resolved, and the company was able to recover and continue full operation. In September 2004, company officials again filed for Chapter 11. The company was heavily in debt, particularly in relation to their vendors. On September 8th of that year, the decision was finally made to cease the operation of each of its 170 stores. Agreements were made with Kimco Capital Liquidation Company, which allowed for closing down sales to be held in every outlet. After the closure of Frank's, the buildings with a unique half-outdoor, half-indoor layout were slow to be reoccupied in an overbuilt retail market.
Frank says give your lawn our best with Frank's own money-saving line of top-quality lawn products. Like Frank's Long Life Lawn Food, 5,000 square foot bag, now just $5.99. And save 20% on every Frank's grass seed in the store. Every seed, every size, 20% off. A lawn you can love and low, low prices. Thanks, Frank's.
Beautiful things begin at Frank's. Frank's Nursery and Crafts.
If you have any fond memories, please indicate it at the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and like.